Please, Xavier. Just take a seat. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. After this moving session that we had before the break, now we are starting here the last part of this wonderful day here together. And the organizers asked us to talk a little bit or to focus this session on one of the pillars of conscious capitalism, which is the purpose. And for that purpose, we were supposed to have four guests here. One of them is still on the road because she had a tire flat and she's waiting for some help for coming. So if she enters, she will deserve a big applause. But we have at least our three speakers here. I will introduce them very quickly because I think the most important thing is to listen to them. We have Mariah Mansvelt. She is the co-founder of Yoni. She has a bachelor degree from Utrecht University and a master in philosophy in University of Cambridge, something like that. No?
That's a little freestyling.
Okay, good. Be careful because these days here in this country it's dangerous to say that you have a certificate and you don't have it. So be careful. But she is the co-founder of Yoni and this is why she's here. Xavier Serra is the CEO of Affinity-Petcare here in Spain. He spent part of his life in the alcohol industry, and he decided to move to animal nutrition. So I think it's an interesting change, and maybe he can say something about that. No, instead of making the human beings drink alcohol, now he prefers to feed animals. It's similar somehow. And finally, Carlota Pi, she's the co-founder and the executive president of holaluz. She has an industrial engineering from Universitat Politècnica de Catalunya, and she has the executive MBA from IESE. I guess that was precisely here where you had the idea of starting holaluz with a couple of classmates. So as I see, I'm very well prepared for this. Presentation, and we are missing Alexandra Michans. So thank you, the three of you. And I'm not going to thank you myself, right? So the topic is the purpose. The purpose of the company. What's the purpose of the company? And I have here some questions. We shared these questions before, and just to prepare a little bit, I'm going to ask them, this is a kind of conversation, so please interrupt and say whatever you want to say, and we will try to have also some minutes for your questions at the end. The first question is like very easy, clear, and it's that you explain a little bit to our audience. What's your organization about? How do you define the purpose of your organization? What's the role of the purpose in your organization? Just to warm up a little bit our brains. And so let's start from Xavier, who is the far away.
Okay. As Joan well said, I'm responsible for a pet care company, born in 1963, so it's a relatively old company for today's standards. And at the time was just a normal company seeking profit. But very soon, more than 30 years ago, the company decided to have a foundation that's been very active until today, never being used for economic or business purposes. And basically, the leitmotif or the purpose of this foundation and the company in general is to reinforce the link, the tie between the animals, in this case the pets, and the person. So in the end, the company is not only trying to do good for the animals, having good nutrition, but also to reinforce this link between the animal and the person, so as the person also have very important benefits from the relationship. This is something that the foundation, and maybe later on we can talk more about that, does through different kind of actions. But then there is a reflection of this as well on our day-to-day in the company. For instance, I think it's something that people uses to like quite a lot. We permit people, our employees, to bring their pets to the office, the dogs and the cats. Usually people is very prudent and they only bring the animals that are well behaved, otherwise it could be a mess. But it's very interesting because you see that the person, instead of leaving the animal at home alone and with all the worries that the person could have, the animal is there next to him or to her while the person is working. And also it serves as it's a nice situation that everybody likes. And the other thing is, we try, somebody asked me a few minutes ago how I would define conscious capitalism. And I said that for me, it's the balance between the business itself and the humanity of that business. So what we try is to, it's a very easy sentence, but we try to treat people as we would like to be treated. And to understand that when we talk about talent, behind the talent, there is a person that could be taller or shorter or bigger or thinner, and to understand and to respect their own peculiarities or their personality.
Yeah, so I'm one of the founders of Yoni, and we make organic cotton tampons, pads, and panty liners. And when I was studying international development, I actually never thought I would be in business because I equated business with profit making only. But here I am today as a business owner, and definitely having a tampon company was not a little girl's dream. And that all came about really based on a personal story. So when I turned 30, I found out that I was developing cervical cancer. And that led me to look for ways to further support my health. And in that search, I met a doctor who started to advise me to make a switch from using synthetic products to organic cotton tampons, pads, and panty liners to reduce further irritation. And this was something super personal, but I did realize that I couldn't find these products on my mainstream supermarket or drugstores. And 2 years into my little personal journey, going to special stores for my special tampons, and any woman I think in the room can relate that this doesn't really work out that well. I was at my business partner, one of my friends' houses, and we were talking about the issue, and we started to do some research. So we looked at the packaging of these intimate products, and they don't list any of the ingredients. And for all the men who have never thought about this topic, I think all of you can relate to the fact that any other care product, whether it's your shampoo, your toothpaste, the soap that you wash your hands with, you'll find a list of the ingredients on the packaging. But for these super intimate products that we use in one of the most absorbent parts of our body, you won't find anything. And so we decided this needs to change. We dived a little bit deeper, found out products are usually made out of synthetic materials, contain plastic, maybe super absorbent pearls, perfume. And to top it all off, if the product is made out of cotton, cotton is one of the most sprayed upon crops in the world, and on EU level, there's no regulation in terms of what the industry needs to do with respect to what should or should not go on the packaging, but also what should or should not actually specifically go into the products themselves. And we thought this needs to change. So we set up a tampon business, and our mission is really that all women should be able to know what goes into their products. And what we do is we share the story on the one hand, and at the same time, we offer the choice. And in the Netherlands, we've been successful in being actually the first organic tampon brand to go onto mainstream shelves, to go next to the 4 major brands that dominate the worldwide femcare market, and go next to them and offer women an alternative. And this is what we're up to.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Carlota.
Yeah.
Carlota.
7 years ago, I was in a bar. I was in a sticky bar, that ones that are very crowded, smells like beer. I was there sitting with my two co-founders, Uriol and Ferran. Uriol is over there recording a video. We just graduated from our MBA here at IESE, and we were thinking about what could we do to help this troubled world be a little bit better. Since the three of us, we are engineers, we decided to set up an electricity company and allow people to share green energy. And this is what we do. At Holaluz, we buy electricity from 400 pure producers, 100% green and independent. We rent the wires for transportation, and we supply to more than 150,000 customers all over Spain. We have customers in every single zip code of the country right now, growing at 300 new customers per day. Out of those, 29% they come by direct recommendation of existing customers. Since while I was studying here, I met Professor Nuria Chinchilla, which is sitting here in the audience today. And we had a little chat because something very hard happened to me during those days. And it was like, while I was on my maternity leave, I was here, I signed up for IESE. I was on the executive MBA, so I was supposed to have a job whilst doing the MBA. And my surprise was that the first day I got back to my work out of my maternity leave, they fired me. And yeah, that was very tough. It took me a while to realize what happened and to understand that that was, for me, a big opportunity, and that was thanks to Professor Chinchilla. So that's why at Holaluz we have two main purposes. First one is to connect people to green energy, no matter whether it is connecting to our pure producers with our pure consumers, or what it is with the self-consumption. We have an agreement with Tesla right now, and we are putting up self-producing solar panels and storages for home storages, no matter whether it is one of the two models. And the second purpose is to build up a company, a type of company, an ecosystem where human beings, we can develop ourselves 360. That's why at Holaluz we have a nursery since 2014. We have yoga classes, CrossFit classes. We have everyday delivered organic fruit. We work 100% by objectives that we set top down, and they come up bottom up. And therefore, we don't need to control any timetable, so you don't have any schedule. You can work on Sundays if next Monday your kid is going to have the final in the soccer league of the school, no? And this makes us very, very happy, because having this kind of company with this ecosystem, with this way of doing things is really paying off, since we are right now the fastest growing utility company in the country. We have revenues of more than 15 million euros per month, and a team of 168 people based in Barcelona. And yeah, it's a huge privilege also to say that we are a B corporation since a couple of months ago, and we are one of the founding companies of the chapter of Conscious Capitalism in Barcelona. And very, very nice to be here back home. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for this introduction. It seems to me that maybe in Maria and Carlota, clearly, no, there was a kind of aha moment where you discover some necessity, you discover something that a necessity for the people, that something that you discover that you have to fill this necessity, this gap, no? But also it's interesting to see how looking at what you're trying to do outside to the world, the products you are selling, the things you are doing, there is also an impact inside the companies, no? As you mentioned, the two purposes, no? It's not, it has to link what you are doing, what you are producing, but also this ecosystem, you know? I think it's part of is this part of looking at the company differently, that you look outside and inside at the same time, that we cannot forget that we don't look only outside what we are doing, the products, but also looking inside our companies, how we treat people.
It's the same thing.
Right.
So if you have to do something, I don't know if you agree, but if you want to make a value proposition to your potential customers, and you really think that you should connect people to green energy and build up a world that it's run by the sun, you got to do the things inside of your company aligned with this purpose and the vision. So, and it's like it comes together. It does come together. So it's, you know, when I got fired by that time, so I was about 31 in fact. So, and I felt like a little ball trying to fit into a squared hole. And you know, if you ever tried that, or if you ever seen a child doing this, so it doesn't matter how many times the ball is rolling, it's not going to get in. There's only one way the ball is going to get in, and it is making the ball smaller. And this is something I wasn't up to. And that's why, so fulfilling your purpose, it comes together. So you have to do things, your operations, so the setup of your company, the way you manage your people, the way you encourage, motivate, keep them connected. It comes natural to do things as you usually do. So, and it's like
Something
the same
to
thing.
add on this point?
Yeah, the way I always explain it is really that it's not that difficult, but I think in my understanding, life isn't about what happens to you, but it's how you choose to deal with its challenges. And I think one of the challenges that we're facing now in business is that we have compartmentalized our social, our spiritual, and our professional lives. And this allows honest, self-aware people to be in the business of profit-making only. But if you integrate your social and spiritual life into your professional life, where we're at our most powerful, we'll necessarily be moving towards using business as a force for good. And this is where I think we need to go.
So, Xavier?
I feel sincere admiration for those cases where you start from scratch and you have this idea that can be integral for the inside of the company and the outside of the company, which is, I find it fantastic. In our case, of course, it's a totally different story. It's something that comes from behind with a story that you cannot ignore. And what you need to do is to adapt it little by little. And for us, there is a sentence which I don't know if it's true or not in those days of the networks, apparently from Richard Branson, that says, I don't care about my customers, I care about my employees, and they take care of my customers. I fully subscribe it. It doesn't mean that I don't care about my customers or my clients, but I fully agree, and because the state of development of the company is a different one from yours, that to me the important thing is to take care first of the members of this organization. And they need to understand what we do, why we do it, and very especially they need to feel happy doing what they do. And this is not that easy when a company becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So one of the things probably that would be the most repeated if you would ask the people from our organization is, what you like the most in this company? And it would be, they let me do. And I think that this is a very important thing. It sounds risky or scary sometimes. It's difficult for us to accept the fact of delegation. But the thing is, first, you will never get all the strength and all the potential of your organization if you don't do that. And second, people will not get the right realization if they don't do that. So I have to say that in our case, different from your cases, we have started definitely first from the inside, and then little by little we are building on the outside. No applause here, you see?
Applause. Let me ask you one thing. One difficulty I think that is related to purpose, because to set up or to define and align the purpose is very easy, right? It's there. The difficult thing I think, no, it's how do you make this purpose, this written purpose, real in the daily life? No? How we move from words to deeds, no? From really action. No? Both of you, Maria and Carlota, you had the idea, you start from the scratch. Maybe the case of Xavier is different because the company was there and you joined the company. But in any case, what are the main difficulties you find when you want to make this purpose alive in the daily operations, in the daily decisions you have to make in your companies?
Let me start now?
Yeah, because I see some faces that they need to think a little bit more. Yeah.
Well, actually, every time you want to start something, it means a change in the status of your company or the organization or the situation. And change means fear. And whenever there is fear, people is reluctant to act. So what I have found in the company in the past, it is that after the people buying into the new direction, suddenly 2 months after, somebody comes to you and says, well, you talked about changing in this direction, but I don't see any change. And then you tell him or her, I say, did you change anything in the way you do things? And the answer is no. And then it's, well, if everybody does like you, then this thing is not going to change. So probably the most important thing is the reluctancy of people to lead the change, because in the end there is no one leader. Everybody has to be leader of himself or herself.
Maria?
Yeah, for some reason I find it a difficult question. Maybe because for me, it's not such an issue.
It's not an issue.
No, it's not an issue. Everybody follows you, everybody is aligned, and everybody is happy and working hard for making this purpose alive.
I think everyone who's joined the company has joined because of the mission.
Exactly.
And so, and we talk about it, and it's in the center of our organization. And if you keep it there, and for me, it can't go away, there would be no Yoni organization without the mission, then it's just not an issue, really. And one thing that I do find helpful is just recently we became a B Corp. And so going through all the questions, and it takes a long time, we were just talking about it, took a year. But what it does help is to show you maybe areas of your operations, because every day I can make decisions about my business in what kind of cleaning products am I going to use on the floors, little things, and also really big things. But going through those questions that go through the entire operations was kind of like a check for me to see, have I thought about everything, and are the decisions that I'm making, are they aligned, even in the details, to the way that I want to do business?
So for us, it's not an issue at all, for the same reason that Mariah told. So everybody who's joined the company joined for the purpose that we are working for. And having already a 168 team members company, it's quite a big company already. So we managed to develop enough leaders that do believe as much as we do in the purpose and the mission of the company. And guess what? Sometimes they are the ones ringing the bell when something is not as good as we should have done. And having this kind of operations, this kind of mechanism, this kind of routines keeps us absolutely safe for this. So, and it's not an issue at all of starting doing operations not in the direction that we wanted to do. And I'm giving you an example, for example, and it's a question of, and it's not a question of scale, because sometimes we've been told, yeah, you are so lucky, you know, because you started the thing from scratch, we are still a little company, so you can do that. And, you know, we felt like, what do you mean? So it means that when you grow up, you just, you cannot be a good person anymore, or what, no? So it has to be a way of, no? And this is what we do. And I'm giving you an example. For example, 2 months ago, we decided to give back 35 cents to each of our customers because there was a resettlement of a ruled income that we got from on behalf of our customers, and then we did the math, and it came up that we had more money than the one we should have. And then we split this amount of money among all of our customers, and we decided to give back these 35 cents. Doing this, you can do that no matter whether you have 10 clients, 10,000, or 10 million customers. We were the only electricity company in the whole country who did this give back. So, and this is something that it just comes in our DNA. We just do it, and it's absolutely scalable. And our question, it's not how do we keep on being a company that does things aligned with our values. Our issue is just make it bigger and keep on going. You know.
Do you agree that the growth is not a problem? Maybe not looking at your clients, but looking inside the company, growth could be a problem because, as Carlota said, no, sometimes people say, look, these are initiatives just for small companies, a little bit outsiders, but you cannot be a big player and be a big corp. No, I was asking the other two because you already answered that. Maria and Xavier, it's growth could be a problem in order to make this purpose alive?
For me, the bigger we grow, the more we can do, the more positive impact our company can have. So it goes hand in hand, and there's no discrepancy between the two.
Xavier?
Now the thing starts getting exciting. I'll answer with the introduction of a book that I read lately that said, growth brings complexity, and complexity is the killer of growth. So in my experience, different companies for many years, yes, growth brings always more complexity and more difficulties. A different thing is that you'll find solutions, whatever, but it's always an element to take into consideration, always.
I totally agree, of course. So it's more complex to have a 68 people, a team member people, than having a 16, that's for sure. Complexity is going to grow, and that's for sure. The thing is that you can manage the complexity you have with the same values and with the same visions and with the same tools that you used to do when you were just 16. No? And you can have examples all over the place. So I have friends. I have one friend, Alfredo and Helmo. They are 9 brothers and sisters. One could expect their home to be a total mess, but it's not. It's just a question of want to do that, and you just develop the tools, develop the strategy, develop the culture, especially the culture. It's very important.
And I cannot.
But I guess that when you grow, you become bigger and bigger. In a certain sense, you need to formalize things that maybe when you were just starting and you had all your team together was easy to transmit and to make sure that people were aligned with your ideas, your vision, your purpose, but the company starts growing, how do you, is there any need of, or how have you formalized those things in order to make sure that everybody understands the purpose, everybody is aligned? I guess that you cannot manage a company with 100 people the same way that with 2,000 people or 5,000 people, no? You need to do something different, I guess, in terms of defining the purpose and transmitting the purpose in the organization. Well, maybe it's the future for you.
So what we think is that it's all about culture. It's all about setting up a strong culture. To set that up and to keep up with this culture, you got to do several things. First thing, write down a couple of papers, very short. We have a booklet where we said what is our purpose, which is our vision, our value proposition, our strategy, and our 5 corporate values. And then, once you said that, you got to keep on remembering these on the day-to-day decisions, on when you hire someone, when you fire someone, when you decide to launch a new product, when you set up a new business, when you redecorate a meeting room. In every single decision that it's taken, a value of the company has to be inside, and you have the opportunity of discuss and talk a little bit about this value, and this is how you keep up with the culture. And doing this, it wouldn't be scalable if it rely only on the founders, or only on the management team, I would say. So it's very important to get everybody on board and have every team member as an ambassador of our culture. And having a strong culture, living aligned with our culture every day, every single day, is what makes the whole thing absolutely scalable. And then it doesn't matter whether you are 100 or 1,000 or 10,000. So it's going to be that. So you're going to step up into our offices, or you're stepping out into Google's offices or into Amazon offices, and you smell there is a particular culture, and this is the way of achieving it.
Why me?
It's the second time you asked that question.
Yes and no. I mean, the thing is that I'm going to respond according to my experience, and my experience in this life. We think that in our professional life, we think that we have lived many situations, and in the end, and you'll notice that very soon you'll be old. I mean, that goes very fast. So then in the end, you realize that you haven't had that many experiences, so it's limited. I continue saying, I think that because of a scale, you lose some tools. And let me put an example. For instance, I've been very lucky because in my last 2 companies, which are Affinity-Petcare, and then in the alcohol business, it's another way to make people happy, but it's Bacardi. I've been lucky to be in companies that from, let's say, a turnover point of view are relatively large, but that didn't need a lot of people in the structure. So this permits a personal communication. This means that every time that I've wanted to convey something, I've been able to take the people in a place like this and talk to them personally. That's not the same thing if the company starts getting bigger, and then you have to do the same thing via video conference or any other thing. Does this mean that you cannot make the model scalable? Of course not, but you need to play with the tools you have. Otherwise, well, it's that thing of you need to change something for nothing to change. So it's basically this.
Let me ask you about another stakeholder, just to change a little bit. What about the investors? This morning we were a couple of times criticizing, questioning the idea of maximization, profit maximization. short-term side, only looking at profit and money. How do you, if you have experience on that, no? What's the relation with investors? How can you get also investors engage in this purpose that puts profit like in a second line, and at least doesn't want just to maximize profit, right? How do they react? How do you convince them, or you don't even, if you tell me that you don't need to convince your investors, then we have a problem. So
Joan, we don't have to convince our investors.
we have a problem. We live in very different worlds.
You know what? So we do want to make profits.
Sure.
We are not an NGO, we are not a foundation, so we do want to make profits. The difference is the time framework we are looking at.
Ah, come on, the time framework. Now the time framework. Okay.
So first thing, because we do want to make profits as well as our investors. And then second thing, as well as Mariah told before, so when you've got an investor joining in our corporate team, we also make sure that these guys share our vision. Because there is a couple of investors to choose from. And you gotta find the ones that are aligned with your vision. So I'm going to tell you the 3 conditions that we ask to our investors, yeah?
Great.
So because we do like, of course, once we are in a raise process, in a fundraising process, we try to fit, and we explain all our metrics, and then we ask back, no? Are you going to fit to our requirements, no? And there are very easy requirements, and there are only 3. Very easy, no? First is, are you sharing our vision of the world in terms of working very hard to get a 100% renewable planet and setting up a business model that respects people and they can develop 360, and where making profits is the result of doing the first 2 things better than anyone, no? Then you gotta say yes, no? If not, we don't move to the second question, no? Then
Okay, so then you don't convince your investors because you choose your investors.
Of course.
It's a
Then
way of
second
convincing.
thing, second question. Do you realize that in a decision where the customer, the interest of the customer, and your particular interest or your particular agenda, it's not aligned, we are going to choose always the customer? Because choosing the customer is making our business more sustainable. It's looking, of course, at the profits, but not at the profits of the next quarter, at the profits of the next maybe 5 to 10 years. And then if the answer is yes, then we move to the third and killer question. And it is, are we going to have fun with you? Are we going to have fun while working? Because, working for transforming this planet to 100% renewable, it's a very tough job to do. You can imagine, no? Because competition is tough. So there is a huge infrastructure, things to change, so it's very hard. So then having fun all along the way, it's absolutely mandatory. And then if the guys meets the 3 questions, we let them in. And then after that, in the board, we just eat popcorn.
But you did. Okay. But then you have to accept that these kind of investors that have fun and eat popcorns are not like the regular investors that we have in our minds when we think about investors, right?
I think there's a movement at this point of time. I think that's why we're all together here today, and that there are also
Here.
How many
But
are there?
yeah.
investors? Investors?
There's 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Good.
Not bad, no?
And so I do believe that, and it's my experience, that there are impact investors who are looking not to only maximize profit, but also to do good in the world. And those are the investors that we've sought out, and I'm definitely going to take your little framework of 3 questions. I think it's great. And if I'm skeptical about their intent, and actually, even if I'm not, I always start with the mission of the company, what we stand for, that we are a B Corp, all of these things, so it's very clear from the beginning. This is the way we want to do business, and this is what gets us excited, this is what motivates us, and that is hopefully also what motivates the investor. And if it's a match, then you eat popcorn together.
Xavier, I hope that you don't give him the.
We can invite you to one of our workshops if you want.
They don't get confused with the popcorns and the.
No, there is a reason why I doubt, and I'm not going to tell you, at least here. But in our case, actually, it was the opposite thing. Before anything, there were some investors that started something, and as I said before, more than 30 years ago, they started to create this foundation that continues until today. So basically, they are the ones that really pushed us to continue this job. From a more general standpoint, I think that there has to be a balance between the profit of the operation and the mission or the purpose. And the thing is, if there is profit, there is no mission or purpose or business or anything, okay? A different thing is how much money do we want or do they want? And here you have different balances depending on the people. There is a famous businessman in Spain that appears from time to time and creates a lot of headaches to many companies that doesn't care about making less money, significantly less money 1 year than the year before. But these are very exceptional examples, at least as of today.
So what I want to add on, it's that it's not a trade-off between profits or purpose. It's that profits come from purpose. So, and if you really actionate, if you really execute your purpose and vision the way it should be done, then your profits grow up. It's because, sometimes I feel like there is like I would say like a group of people, or the old economy, I would say, that they still believe that it's whether one thing or the other, and it's about how much money do you have, or how much money can you sacrifice from your profits to do things well. And this is not how it works. So if you really have a purpose, you execute your purpose and vision at the top best. So the best way you can, then your profits are growing. And you are more sustainable, you are more aligned to your potential customers, and you are a more profitable company. So it's not like, it's different. It's a huge different thing.
But wait a minute. Don't go so quickly applauding. Wait a minute. Because
you don't agree, Joan. You don't agree.
you know that the professors here at the business school, we normally play the devil's advocate, so we have to disagree, no matter about what. But no, let me, because you always go one question ahead of my questions.
That's the story of my life, Joan. I'm sorry.
Because it was in my mind one philosophical question. I studied philosophy many years ago, no? But because if I play now the role of a classical businessman, of a traditional company, maximizer, profit, so on and so forth, right? I can use the same argument that you are using now. I can say, look, I'm not so different as you are. I'm also treating well my employees. I want to provide good products to my customers. I apply against not against, inside the law. I do the same things that you are doing, and I'm making money. So what's my difference? No. So what makes this idea of focusing on purpose, these movements of the conscious capitalism or the B Corps, what makes different to the traditional companies when at the end we see all the elements there, and it seems that we share all the elements. No, this morning Raxi Sodia said it very well when he said, "We don't hire people to make whatever; we make whatever to hire people." No, so how? It's not only to have the elements, but how we combine these elements in different order makes maybe be different. I'm giving the answer, maybe, I don't know. But no, what makes this movement different from a traditional company that also wants to make money doing good things?
To me,
Applause for me.
I mean,
You're getting jealous, Juan.
I mean, we could start discussing philosophy here for a long time, but being pragmatic, I think that there is a word which is very important, which is sustainability. Whichever model that proves to be sustainable over time and long term, to me it's fine. And I think that when we talk about balancing the interest of the different stockholders in a company, basically what we are looking is for sustainability. Because if you only have profits for one of them, sooner or later, this thing is going to crash. And honestly, it's happening to many companies in the last decades. So to me, the word is this one.
Maria.
Now, for me, I think the way that I want to do business is using my business, so the outcome of the business, the product or the service, to actually be working on one of society's challenges. And if your business is geared to do that, then yeah, then there you are. Then, I mean, then the bigger you grow, the more you're going to be moving towards positive impact.
Mm-hmm.
And then the two don't collide.
Sure. Sure.
So if you get into the website of any utility companies in Europe, they all have in their purpose creating value for their shareholders. This is not a purpose to have, come on. This should be, or as we see it, it is the outcome, it is the result of executing and implementing your main purpose as a company. And this is one thing. Then, these companies of the old economy, they only have lots of legacies, and they are more worried about keeping them old assets in their balance sheets than actually leading a transformation. Energy, it's going to be a disruption as big as it's been in the internet. So we are in front of a huge thing. Of course, leading this transformation, so any of the incumbents all over Europe would have the best place to lead this transformation, but they don't want to, because what they do, they keep on fighting back this revolution to just keep alive their assets on their balance sheets. So then it's already an issue for them to hire talent. It's already an issue for them to keep in the company talent, to develop talent, because people from now, and it's gonna stay like this, and it's going to be even more stronger and stronger. We all want to work for something that is aligned to our vision of the world, as Mariah said before. So we are not in little boxes anymore. So I'm not the Carlota as a mom, Carlota as a friend, Carlota as an engineer, Carlota as a creative. No, I am just one person, and now people start living like this more and more. So maybe we are at a point, Joan, where the difference between a sustainable company or a B Corp company or a company with purpose and an old-fashioned company, we are not very different from the outside right now. But since time is going to come, time is going to pass by, So this different, it's going to open and open until the infinity. And my guess is that sustainability, of course, I totally agree, it's the word for that. It's going to be on the right way and not on the other one. So.
We have 3 minutes for questions. Nuria is your main supporter.
I'm super fan of Nuria's
We have 3 minutes for one question or 2 short questions, if any.
Questions?
You waste all your energy applauding.
I would just like a follow-up on the company size, because instinctively I think that it is harder to, not that you can't keep to your mission, but to keep everybody engaged and aligned on the mission. So Xavier, what size is your company? I already have 168, and then what size is yours?
It's the companies that have been taken care of have been between 300 and 600 approximately.
And my company is still super small, so we're around, with the whole team, around 14 people.
I was watching the clock there, and it was 3 minutes, and now it's 9 minutes. I don't know if we have 9 extra minutes because of the World.
It's like in the World Cup, so
the
we
good
all
work
get
we are
like
doing,
this
or it's
extra
just
time.
because we will finish on time.
So my name is Bruno Delama. Maybe a little bit of a statement more than a question, but I fully agree with what Carlota was saying, and I think the way you're thinking about your business, it's almost like a different dimension. You know, you're playing, a US analogy would be, you know, these traditional businesses are playing on the minor leagues, and you sort of figure out, oh my God, there's like a whole new universe, which is the majors, or, you know, here in Spain, it would be, you know, we've all been playing in the Segunda División, and now you're the only one in the first division, and I agree with you that I think that's only going to accelerate. And the reason why that makes sense for me intuitively is, first, what you're saying with purpose. How are you going to get people excited about, you know, we're going to grow market share, we're going to be more profitable? I don't think that gets anybody excited anymore. But if you say, we're going to move the world to a sustainable business, or I'm going to make women's healthcare healthy, I think that gets people out of bed and gets people excited. So they're going to do a better job for you, and they're going to be very excited. If you treat your employees very well, I think the potential of every human being is unlimited. And so what they're going to do for you, it's going to be so much more beyond imagination of what we think. And so I agree 100% that this mentality that we all have of a zero-sum game, it's either your employees or your shareholders or your suppliers or your clients. I completely disagree, and I agree with your view that I think it accelerates and it multiplies exponentially. So if you give to your employees, if you give to your customers, you're going to give many-fold to your shareholders. That's my view anyway. I agree fully with you.
Thank you.
I'm afraid one last question and we finish because we are late. 5 minutes? Okay. One question.
I really just want to say thank you to Mariah and Carlota. You just made me feel so great how you exposed everything, that it was so natural, it was so motivating, so igniting. So really thank you very much. And for you from IESE, I think you should be so proud of that somebody like her got out of your executive education and to change the world, and this should be your purpose, to have more people like Carlota going out of IESE.
Absolutely, absolutely. One last question, because this was a kind of recognition. Thank you very much. Now the very last question.
Thank you. It's not the right question to close, so you're going to have to open to one more after that. Because it's a bit in opposition of the last 2 or 3 statements, and in all due respect, and to the very inspiring idea that by doing good, you do well, and in many cases it is true. I've been working in the field of social responsibility, but I say mostly social entrepreneurs for many years now, after many years in straight business. And my experience is a little different. And if Alexandra had been there today, you would have heard a bit of a different story. I serve on the board of Ashoka in the UK, among other things. There are some areas in the social space where you can make profit, and actually renewables happens to be the one, star, where you can actually combine the two of serving all the stakeholders in our society as well as making profit. And I can also give you a list of 15 areas of our economies where there's very little profit to be made, including anything humanistic, etc. So we can compartment and we can keep saying, well, in the end, good business always makes profit and it's just about the short term, the long term, which is one trade-off we will always have to do. But I would love to push the discussion forward into, wait a minute, we are missing a little bit in the discussion the overall social picture. And if you compare different political systems, then you will see that there is different models how we redistribute, our wealth and our taxes among the different shareholders. So I just wanted to throw that in. I think that was maybe missing a little in the debate.
Thank you. Thank you. And let me finish following this idea, because for me, the important question is not how much money I'm going to make being a responsible business. Because probably the answer you get for this question from the classical ones and the new ones is going to be the same. Everybody wants to make money being social responsible. For me, the important question is how much money I'm ready to give up for being responsible business. And this is where I think the classical companies and the newcomers are going to answer this question different. How much I'm ready to give up because I want to be social responsible. In any case, I think that one of the main concepts that has appeared here during this day is the idea of people. I say in class always that instead of putting profit at the center of business, it's time to change the P of profit for the P of people. And we have to put people at the center of the business. And I think that we have had here 3 great examples of putting people and the pets of people at the center of our business. So thank you very much for, now they deserve a big applause, right?